Good day, everyone. Welcome to our final edition uh, for today of our elections 2023 coverage, brought to you by Veegil Media in collaboration with Summit University, uh, Nigerian National uh, Group for Development, and the Muslim Alliance for Credible Elections, and a host of other contributors. My name is Abdulrazaq Adams, and today I'll be joined by uh, a number of our return panelists and co-hosts in person of Dr. Jalila Adebiyi and also Mr. Austin, who is joining us from Bengal. So welcome, everyone.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
All
thank
right.
you, Dr.
Yeah, yeah, welcome. So I want to thank you, our viewers, for joining us at this time. So today we'll be recapping how the day has went. I think unlike yesterday, we've had a lot more results start to come in. The collation is happening all around the country, and we've had some states that have actually been declared. Or for the most part, for most states, we're having a lot of local governments that actually getting declared. So I think I would just start out by asking from us here, what are the trends that we're seeing thus far uh, in our observation of these results as they trickle in? Mr. Austin, you could go ahead.
Okay, from where I voted, just like I said earlier, the trend I'm seeing from the result is that there is party effect. People are voting along party lines, and wherever you find the APC presidential candidate winning, he wins both for the House, the Senate, and the House of Rep. I'm monitored in addition to my polling unit. I'm monitored in other 3 polling units around within my community. And in all the locations I went, the results almost tallied. If Bad got 162, the senatorial candidate for APC was also likely going to get 162.
Hmm.
Apart from that, okay, the number of invalid votes were not much. They were very, very significant. But I see people voting along party lines. That is one. Then 2, another factor again that played is that people also voting and looking ahead. That if you vote for a particular candidate now who does not share the same party affiliation with you, the likelihood of losing the governorship election come March 11 is going to be very, very high. So that is something that I can see that is a trend that has manifested. And the same thing was applicable by the time I got back to township. That's my local government headquarters. It was the same trend. So I think in terms of maturity, we have not gotten to a level where somebody will say Mr. A is good for this position, even though he's running on this political platform. Let us give him or her this position because the person is good for the position. What they do, if you're voting APC, everything has to be APC. If you're voting PDP, everything has to be PDP. So the thing about the thing about the candidate on the ballot was actually not a major factor in the rural areas, in the communities. However, in the urban areas, the thing about the individuals came to play. Here you see that, okay, yes, people say that this particular candidate is good for this particular office. This one is not good for this office, even though the 2 of them are running on the same political platform. So in the urban areas, That's another thing that that's the thing also that played out. So you are likely going to see most of the urban areas. What you're going to see is you see a mix. APC winning this, PDP winning that, Labour winning some particular positions. That's the trend I see playing out so far
All right.
within
Okay.
my state.
Within your state, and that is
Mm.
Benue State, very
Yeah,
well,
that
correct.
is Benue State, Benue State, Benue State.
Yes, yes. So let me bring in Dr. Adebiyi to this conversation. So, in looking at the result thus far, do you see any exceptions to popular beliefs or trends? Early yesterday, when we started, we had a couple of panelists make predictions. Have you seen anything to the contrary from those predictions?
Honestly, I've seen some certain things to the contrary because Benue is a big deviation from the pattern. It's almost impossible for us to predict accurately the performance of APC in Benue, and we have to give it to grassroots politicians like Mr. Austin and the gubernatorial candidate of the party, who, according to some people, is somebody who's loved by the people. The thing about elections that I've come to understand is that many times it's beyond money. It's about the personality of the people standing on the ballot. If people love you, they love you. No matter what the situation is, they are going to cast their vote for you. Otom is one of the G5 governors, and Otom he has never hidden his like for Peter Obi as his preferred candidate. And he said his people were not going to vote for Atiku. And I believe that could have influenced the voting pattern in Benue. But one should have expected somebody other than, Bola Ahmed Tinubu to benefit from that. One would have expected Peter Obi to benefit from that. More so that the Muslim ticket is something that is frowned upon. So I would have expected that in Benue that there should be protest votes. But Benue is suggesting otherwise. So we are beginning to see patterns challenging some of these the influence of religious narrative in the voting pattern. And we are beginning to see what Mr. Austin is talking about, the party effect. Once people have made up their mind that we are casting our vote for APC, it seems to be playing out in some places whereby you see, people are going the will of APC, because to them, if you're not in government, you're not in government. It's only when you're in government that people can talk about appointment, they can talk about things that will come to their constituency and constituents. So we are beginning to see this deviation from the trend, and Benue is an interesting one because most analysts that I know that I've spoken with, they have been looking up to Benue, they've been looking up to Rivers, they've been looking up to Oyo State, and Benue in particular, because of the personality of Otom. And Otom, as it stands, is not going to the Senate. He lost. Otom is not returning to the Senate. And it's a big casualty. It's kind of interesting, honestly. And I think after all said and done, one of the states where we need to do a lot of analysis is Benue. Because Benue makes a classic point in terms of when we say something is an outlier. From this election, Benue is a complete outlier. And that really shows that we have underrated the effort of the individuals who have been working assiduously for the ruling party, APC in Benue State. Because for them to be making, because the governor is not committed to the ticket of APC in any way in Benue State, and they are beginning to show this impressive result from Benue State. I think maybe somebody like Mr. Austin be in a better position to educate us about why Benue is an outlier.
Why what?
Yeah.
Why Benue is an outlier?
Why is Benue an outlier in terms of the results we're seeing? The surprise performance of APC in Benue State.
No, you see, like I said, there is a movement in Benue known as Yes Father. In the church, once Father says anything, you don't argue with him, you only say Yes Father. So considering the fact that we are predominantly Christian, and Catholicism is deeply entrenched. Then we also have there's this other church, the Protestant church, NKST. So once the two come together, they make up. I think they make up about 90-something% of the of Tiv-speaking population in Benue State, and the Tivs have what we call absolute majority. So that father's influence alone, like yesterday, what was going on? Why some people were trying to enlighten people to tell them within the communities that for this election, this is how you should vote, like this. The priest had told them, the APC candidate had told them that if you don't vote my presidential candidate, I'm going to become an orphan. I cannot get anything good for your people. But if you don't want me to become an orphan, vote Jagaban, vote anything APC. Don't vote any other. Don't go and begin to say that you want to look at the personalities. Vote everything APC. So that the father's influence, I think 60% credit should go to that. Then they just rounded up their campaign. Why PDP and other parties were campaigning? His case was in court, so their case didn't finish on time. I think the case was only decided, I think about a week ago or thereabout. So he had just 1 week. So within this 1 week, he went around the 23 local governments. And each time he got, people were there waiting for him until midnight. He would come and tell them that I'm coming to you with a message of hope. He also segmented the population into different categories. I was meeting them along those lines, telling them that people are telling you that this is a Muslim ticket, but I'm a Reverend Father. So if I'm in this ticket, then nobody who will come and Islamize a priest like me. So that gave people confidence in the party. And that, and again, that most of our meeting points revolve around church associations, church organizations. They are more cohesive than the other platforms you have. So that is a major factor. Then with the little, some of us were talking to people here and there, what can you do? So it became a strong. That was a very strong factor that gave APC the votes APC is getting in Benue.
Okay.
If not because of the Reverend Father, we would have battled it out.
So
it would have been very difficult.
Let me paint a different narrative and just get your take here. So does it really spell good or doom for our democracy that we have very influential people that can, sway the vote one way or the other? As you mentioned, about these fathers being able to influence the election in this way. We already know the problems we have in our politics of godfatherism and things like that. Is this not a recipe for that? And then the second question, where I said, is it good or is it doom, is we all know the challenges that the governor, governor, incumbent governor Otom had with the ruling party as regards the herdsmen issues and all of those clashes. One would think that would perhaps sway the people that were on the facing the harsh brunt from the herdsmen and make them vote against the ruling party. So Ghana has painted this as an impressive result. Don't you think that this could be sensing some kind of trouble for us when we are analyzing the data to say, are the people's will actually taking place here, or is it that people are now looking at the candidates and just saying, what candidate gives me the best deal here? What works best for
I think in the case of Benue, people are just assured that they have a leader they can trust. The personality of the Reverend Father painted seems to conjure hope in the minds of people. The people of Benue, they've been with Otom for 8 years. The first question that matters to them is that how much of development impact has it brought to addressing the economic problems facing the people? Benue people, for the records, they are farmers. They are great, wonderful farmers.
But people would argue, if you understand my point, people would argue that the herdsmen crisis has affected the livelihood of people of Benue.
This is the narrative.
So
that is not dismissing.
Are they rewarding? Are the people of Benue then rewarding?
Let's get back to
now.
this.
Okay, sorry. Let me come. Let me come in the list. Starting with your last. Starting with your last comment, you see one of the message the father was telling people as he was going around is that if I become the governor, where there are IDPs, there are a lot of IDP camps in Benue State, informal camps, many of them. He was telling them that if you make me the governor and I have my party man as the president, I'm assuring you that I'm going to take you people back to your farms. And by the time I take you back to your farms, by the time I take you back to your farms, you're able to you'll be able to farm. All these troubles about this and that is going to come to an end. So he's giving them hope that with his election, he's going to take them back to their farms. And secondly, he's saying something again that there is something that we need to do about the settlement pattern. You know, we don't settle in clusters. So one other thing being said again is that we have to rethink our settlement pattern so that you're able to defend yourselves. So those are the kind of messages he's sharing. Then, with regards to you saying that the personalities, you see the personality involved here. It's something that could be good and it can also be bad. It depends on the beauty of democracy is that after 4 years, you go back to the people and ask them, please renew our mandate. Exactly. He has told the pensioners that this amount of money you are being owed, if I become the governor, I'm going to make sure that I'll clear the backlog of arrears. They have a backlog of arrears of close to 24 months, I think 25 months for the pensioner. Then you have the state civil servant. Then you have the local government civil servant. They also have some backlog of arrears. So all those people, he's talking to them, telling them that if you vote for me and vote for my candidates, I am going to make sure that I will address these issues. Then considering the fact, again, he's a priest. He told people that why should he be lying at this point in time in his life? So that there seems to be saying, okay, yes, we can trust him. There's also another factor. We've also had a former priest as the governor of the state, and he did very well within the short period of time he was there. So all those things, then to make matters worse for the opposition, they presented a candidate that people did not trust. People were like, okay, you look at the last local government autonomy bill. The Benue State House of Assembly voted against it. And the people at the local government were like, how can you go and vote against that bill and you want us to trust you? You understand? You were supposed to vote in favor of local government autonomy. So that by the time you come back to talk to us, we'll say, yes, this guy actually feels our pulse. Then secondly, they were like, you kept on giving this man approval for him to take a lot of loans without asking what has been done with the loan as a speaker. You became a rubber stamp. So there were so many factors. So he was not also a strong person like that to stand against the father. So it was like it was just a one-way. It was a one-way thing.
I guess then we'll go back to your earlier point that it's also possible that the success of APC in Benue State may be attributed to the governorship aspirant as opposed to the presidential candidate. Would that be your assessment or
yes.
I don't want us to simplify the impact, because when you look at the complexity of the issues teased out by Mr. Austin, there is the element of trust in his favor. He's been able to build this trust capital that the APC is riding on in Benue State. There is an extent to which people can actually sustain, propaganda, sustain the message of, oh, we need to see ourselves as enemies. This is a man is impressed, is not a traditional politician. So people are looking him as an exception to the establishment. And that makes it possible for him to talk to them convincingly. And the other thing which I believe Mr. Oxen also demonstrated to us is that he made them understand that we need to make progress. We need to move on. And I think that message of moving on will resonate with people, particularly in communities that has been under continuous attack. People want to go back to their farms. People want to go about their regular farm activities. And we have a father telling people, I will work together with the president, return all of you from the IDPs back to your farms, back to your home. These are people that make millions from farming. You see, when I was doing my doctoral dissertation, I worked with the Igede farmers. Very wonderful, lovely human beings. I work with them. Very wonderful. I mean, if you're looking at people, and when you look at farmers in Nigeria, the most productive set of farmers, you find them in Benue. They are
I
good
mean,
at
Benue State is the
cultivating
food basket of the nation. So
they
very,
are
very
good at cultivating almost everything. And when you now have a gubernatorial candidate telling them that I will get you back to the farm, we are going to make things possible for you, then that's a big plus. It's talking to the point that they need. Because what that actually means to them is that we are going back to what we know how to do best. And when you look at the manifesto of the presidential candidate of the APC, agriculture is high on it. And it's about the top candidate that has the best plan when it comes to the issues of agriculture. And what that actually means is that Benue is going to be by further to the national agenda of Bola Ahmed Tinubu if he's elected as the president. So with a father, with that bankable trust capital, talking to the people who love him around a network that is well organized, then one will believe that the people would buy into the message. And think about it, they are comparing two things: traditional politician with an highly regarded religious father. And I've always told people, when you ask people to pick between the two, in most cases, people will go for trustworthy religious leader. And that is telling us that one, issues such as this will embolden religious leaders who are loved by their people to seek elective position. Because at the end of the day, to the people, it's about people that they can trust with their resources. It's about people that they can trust with their lives. And that is why I believe the patterns of the result we are seeing is a good development for democracy in the country. And Benue is a good case in point. I will end it here for
yeah.
now.
Thank you very much for that. So let me ask another question to our panelists. I think we've also had Mr. Hakim join us here. However, I think he has some challenges with his video connection, but he'll be able to speak here. So, Mr. Hakim, we've been talking about some trends that we've been seeing, or Dr. Hakim. We've been talking about some trends that we've been seeing in the results thus far. And we've been pretty much talking about Benue State. Dr. Adebiyi has referred to Benue State as an outlier and a state that was not anticipated to be won by APC. And it seems like it's very much going to go to the APC presidential candidate. And so we've been talking about that. So the question I want to ask of you, and as you join us here, is how much do you think the economic realities that play in the country will play into these election results that will continue to see unfold? As Dr. Adebiyi has said, just to give you a larger context of that, we mentioned Benue State as being the food basket of the nation, and a lot of people having challenges with farming and in this current dispensation. And there's a promise to them, made to them by their governorship aspirants, that I'm going to get you back to the farms. So this is an economic statement in my mind. And when you look at what is happening globally, right? There's the Russia invasion of Ukraine, which has led to shortage of food worldwide. So you can look at that and say, states like Benue in Nigeria will become more and more important. And the ability of farmers to get back to farm and be able to cultivate is going to, of course, be very important. How much do you think these factors relating to economy would be playing in the minds of voters as they're going to the polls? Because we're seeing the outcomes here. Do you agree with this, that we may see a lot of results that could have some economic bearings to them? Mr. Kim?
Huh?
Oh, Mr. Kim. Did you get a question?
Come again with the question.
So my question is, how much do you think the economy, the state of the economy, or the promise of better economies would play in the mind of voters in the results we're seeing of this election as they unfold?
Well, you see, I just wanted to make a clarification or something. You see, one thing about farming, the only business that our constitution allows civil servants, public servants to do is to get involved in farming. So apart from the fact that apart from the traditional farmers, apart from people, the ones who become professional farmers, civil servants also get involved in farming. But some of them, due to the present situation we have found ourselves in, can't go to these farms, can't get involved. Some lost so much. But one thing I know is that this message of giving people hope, of them getting back their livelihoods. Also, remember I said also that the man is promising the pensioners that if he becomes the governor, he will clear their 24 months, 25 months outstanding pension arrears. Promising the civil servants that he will also clear their outstanding salary arrears. Primary school teachers and local government civil servants. All these things are tied to the economic realities. So I know that this promise, and more so that is coming from someone that people are trained, someone that people have been given orientation to trust. Some people can go to confess their sins. It is giving them this kind of hope. It is actually going to influence the outcome of the governorship elections as well, and other elections we are seeing. Like for instance, even in my place, the guy contesting against the other senatorial candidate contesting against Governor Suswan, the former governor of Benue State and the senator. The people were saying that there were some things, the government wanted to cite a polytechnic in the state, but there were speculations and allegations that Suswan and the other PDP candidates connived to take the institution away. And they were like, if this institution was cited in the local government, people would have been employed. That's also another economic benefit that would have come to them. But because the thing has been taken away from them, that employment won't be there. So underneath all these promises, I think the economic factor is very, very strong in people's mind.
And to me, what that seems to suggest is this. Even when our leaders make excuses of inflation and other things that are happening globally, people are looking at the fact that you have to be able to address the problem affecting your people locally. And I think that is the message coming across from places like Benue and in other parts of the Federation. Because people are aware that politicians are living in money, that they have this money. And they keep complaining that the economic situation globally, there's an economic meltdown. If there's an economic meltdown and you begin to distribute massive amount of money to people, you are riding luxurious car, your families are doing well, and the people are suffering. The people see all these things on a daily basis. And that is why the message of the Reverend Father in APC in Benue State resonates with the people. People will be like, hey, this is one of us. That this man is one of us. We can trust him. And this is why I think one of the things that is a take-home for me in this election is that regardless of what's happening globally, it is important that the economic policy of any president has direct influence in the lives of the ordinary people. Our people are not demanding for too much, honestly. In fairness to our people, they just want to be able to educate their children. We know our people, they are proud of the success of their children. They want to be able to feed their family. Basic thing. We know our people, they are not difficult to talk. They are not asking for too much. If they are able to educate their children, if they are able to pay their house rent, and if they are able to go to party, put on nice clothes, our people are good. But situation whereby those basic fundamentals are missing, I mean, it's going to be difficult. And we are beginning to see that this really matters. And that is why I believe that whoever emerges as the president in the next dispensation has a lot to do addressing the issue of poverty and making sure that people have certain things they can celebrate with. Little wins. When they work, let them get their salary on time. Those that are pensioner, you don't have to owe them money. You don't have to owe them a penny. The message is really clear. And when you look at Osun State, the incumbent governor in Osun State, he rode on the same message to the people. All he was telling them when he contested against the then incumbent of the APC was that the stubbornness was too much. When I come in, the rest assured I'm going to address the stubbornness. So anything that is directed towards reinvigorating the feeding in the land is a message that resonates with our people. Our people are troubled about the issue of suffering,
so
and they seem to be saying that. Okay.
Thank you for that segue into Osun State. So I was going to go to Osun State. If you notice the ticker we have down there scrolling, is just going by your screen right now. It says APC is around 237,000, PDP is around 256, Labour Party 20,000, and NNPP 508. And these are just a few of the local governments.
No, Atiku has already won Osun State by 350 something votes, 350 something thousand votes, and he defeated the candidate of the APC within the margin of 15,000 or 17,000 or thereabouts. Yeah. So it's a kind of interesting.
We're still collecting some of the results, so I don't think INEC has officially declared any states as of yet. It seems to be Osun State is going to be.
When I saw the result of Osun State being branded, something came to my mind. If you go back and look at the result, the outcome of the governorship election in Osun State, the difference between the APC candidate and the PDP candidate, I think, was within the range of 25,000.
Exactly. Yeah,
then
exactly.
If you look at the presidential election again, the difference again is within. It's not too far from that range.
That brings me to another interesting question. Is it also possible that our democracy is maturing? That now we have people listening to the candidates, as opposed to just taking handouts from them and trying to figure out what political party has an agenda that works for me? Is this the path we are headed, which I think is perhaps a better path, or is this just we voting along party lines? And Osun State seems to be one of those states that right now seems to be contested, and there's no real dominant party. Which of these do you think is going on in Osun State?
It's party lines. Party lines.
I agree with Mr. Austin that even in the United States.
Okay, so it is party lines, but are they aligned in those parties by political ideology? Is it economic policies that is making them?
So now, from what I think,
or is this just
like
party tribalism that is going on here?
No, it's I think it's very close to what we call party tribalism. There are stakeholders in the different locations. So the stakeholders know who they are on. So once they talk to them, there's a way they cast, there's a way they spread the message along these lines. And I think they are holding on to. We are gradually building. I think we're working towards building a two-party system. Just that this disobedient movement came up with something, bagam, and it's coming out as an alternative. It came out as an alternative force. I think if like this will be, guys, if you had started from day one, the damage would have caused would have been more than he would have done more than what his performance would have been more than how he performed. But by the mere fact that he started along, so I think it's along. For now, it's still party lines, but I think the people are still looking out. People are still looking out for that candidate, that person that will present them, that will give them hope, will give them inspiration.
Exactly.
To represent what. That yearning is still there. Mind you that for this election, we have people who were born during democracy that are going to vote.
For the first time.
We have people who were born in 2000, in 2001, in 2002. They will be voting. So I expect us to see more. I expect us to see another tsunami come 2027. Anybody who goes there and play ball. For instance, you're talking about and some will cry and talk about this, talk about that. The people are saying people around him are buying plots, buying properties in some places, and so on and so forth. So where is the money coming from? So I believe that by 2027, people will be asking more questions than people are asking APC. And I think the strategy of APC also trying to say, oh, this policy was designed and targeted at us, also worked in their favor. People saw Bat down as running his race, not because the party was for him. That's another thing that again I saw playing out.
Yeah, I think I want to.
Yeah, go ahead. What
yeah, I want to agree with Mr. Austin on most of the points. And when you look at democracy, even in the United States, because when people talk about advanced democracy, honestly, I've not seen a lot of difference. A Republican voters base will vote Republican because it's the party, it's their interest. A Democrat will vote the party for the most part because it's the party, is their interest. We used to have deviations here and there, but the deviations are not the norms, even in the United States. And that is what we are beginning to see crystallize, evolve in the current political scenario in Nigeria. And it's not just about that. The other thing we are beginning to see, as mentioned by, as illustrated in the case of Osun State, is that at the end of the day, people are searching for hope. The current governor may have capacity issue, but all he communicated to the people is that try me. You know, it's just like when Donald Trump came on board from nowhere. The message of Donald Trump was like, try me. You have tried the other guy, things didn't actually change for the good. But that is debatable. But in the case of Donald Trump, that was what he said. And people tried it. And when this guy in Osun State, the current Governor Jackson Ademola Adeleke, was also contesting, the message was try me. And when you look at the message of APC presidential candidate, it's a renewed hope. It still falls back to the fact that they are aware that people are searching for hope, that people are troubled, that they've not been able to elect leaders that have their good at the back of their mind. So that aspect of searching for hope, and I do agree with Mr. Austin, people will continue to ask more questions, particularly the new generations of voters. They are voters that don't settle for excuses. All they want is results. Give them the result, and then you get them. You meet them where they are. So I believe that democracy in Nigeria is maturing as far as I'm concerned. Ethnicity will continue to play a role because it's part of our configuration. It's part of what defines people's identity. And that's when people talk about the fact that let us eliminate ethnicity in Nigerian politics. I'm like, no, the problem is not ethnicity. The problem is not religion. The problem is, are we using these things positively? In the US, the Black will talk about their own identity, ethnic, cultural, and every such identity, and it's a part of their voting preference. In the United States, it's what defines people. Ethnicity is an embodiment of what defines a people. And when people are saying that my people, they are being left behind, they are not part of, we are not represented at the center, I believe they are raising a fundamental question. And they deserve to be listened to. Because democracy is first and foremost about representation. If a particular ethnic group is left out of the conversation table, policies may be insensitive to their needs. This is what democracy is all about. So when people scandalize those factors, I'm always like, no, it's not like that. The fact is that, are we using these identity criterions negatively or positively? And I believe our people are not asking for too much. If a particular ethnic group is being marginalized, they have the right to raise their voice. They have the right to say, our people deserve to be in the decision-making table. This is what people are saying worldwide. It's because we impose ethnicity against it. When our people say it, that's when we begin to see it negatively. It's not too much of an ask that people that have not been represented in power equation, for them to be saying that our people needs to be there. Our people, because when you look at all ethnicity in Nigeria, there is not one ethnicity that doesn't have the capable human arms. We have the human capital across all ethnicities in the country. So meaning that if we really want to strengthen our democracy, we need to increase participation across board. The concerns of different ethnicity and everything.
Thank you for that take. So both our panelists here, you've raised a very important point here today, which is you've talked about the fact that our electorates are usually leaning towards taking candidates that give them messages of hope, and they are also willing to experiment and say, we're going to try, as Dr. Adebiyi mentioned, try me, basically try me, and just give me that chance. So when we're looking at that, I think that's a positive thing, and it means that people are willing to try out other ideas. So when we look at the current incumbent party, which is the APC, how much do you think the performance of this administration will bear on the outcome of APC in these presidential elections? You can go ahead, Mr. Austin. So the question is, how much will the performance of this current Buhari administration, how much will that affect basically APC's showing in the general elections for this year?
Well, if you are looking at it, let me just use a percentage. Let me take percentage for instance. I will say around 40%. 40%.
All right.
I'll say around 40% because the people that brought less than 40%, the people that brought the party, that worked for the party in 2014, to give the party victory. For instance, I don't think the party carried them along. The party did not carry all of them along. That could explain the reason why there are some policies that the party started opposing itself. If you recall, the first National Assembly was against certain. The 8th Senate National Assembly was against certain policies of the party, and these were the same people that came through the party platform, and they left. So, in terms of, then of course, you look at also the performance and the activities of some people around the corridors of power with regards to the interests of Bat, who is also the party's candidate. So you can't really say that they were not working as if they wanted the Bat to emerge. So the personality of Bat and his network should take credit for like 60% of his performance, whatever. So you give that percentage, you give the higher percentage to Bat.
Okay.
Let's say like 60% of his kind of person.
So Dr. Adebiyi,
Because
let's hear
over
from
time,
you. How much would you attribute Bola Ahmed Tinubu's performance to his campaign and his antecedents versus the performance of the APC?
I agree with Mr. Austin, honestly. I agree with Mr. Austin on this as well. And right from the very beginning, and I've been using the word creative distancing and creative acknowledgement. You know, the folks behind the campaign of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, they realize that Buhari's performance is on the ballot. For whatever reason, they knew this. They were very honest to themselves that Buhari's performance was on the ballot. And when you go back to the APC primary, the messages that came across from the candidate that stood on the ballot during the APC primaries also distanced themselves one way or the other from Buhari's performance, because they knew that even APC members were not happy with the turns of things in the country. And I think that actually assisted them in many ways. And as Mr. Austin actually alluded to, some other things happened in the polity that, the APC presidential candidate and the governors on the party's platform also distanced themselves from. Look at the issue of what I call the Naira confiscation policy. APC governors were just firing from all cylinders, distancing themselves from the policy, that this is against the people, it was intended against their own presidential candidate. So, and it's very innovative in the history of Nigeria. They are within the party and they are distancing themselves from the performance of the person at the center. And they were saying that this man, and they were saying that the presidential candidate of the party is a different stuff entirely. And they were telling the people that don't worry, keep your old money. When the new president comes on board, he is going to allow you to spend that money. And it became like a government within government. And people were like, if they can take on Buhari as members of his political party, that may mean that they may actually do things differently. I think that's one area where the APC actually.
So I would consider that a development of our democracy then. We could have some kind of debate within our political parties, and we're not in that yes father regime where everybody just toes the line. So I think that's a development. Now I want us to shift the conversation here to the candidacy and the campaign of Peter Obi. Now, when we're looking at the campaign of Peter Obi, I think it's very interesting because it seems to be able to galvanize the youths, and it seems to be able to bring out a lot of passion and fervor in people. You see from the discussions you have online, and you also see from the way he portrayed himself in the campaign trail as someone that was knowledgeable of the problems. So when we look at the campaign of Peter Obi and the kind of showing we're seeing now, I know the polls are not closed yet, but the trends are not looking so good in his favor on a national scale. So what would you say were potential flaws or missteps or were things that worked in his favor or maybe against his favor in his presidential campaign?
Well, the things that work in his favor, just like I said, the population, the new voting people who came of voting age, and of course the his pedigree also worked for him. Because just like Bat was saying, this is what I did to Lagos. Peter Obi, Bat was saying, this is what I did. This is what I turned Lagos into. Peter Obi was saying, as a governor, as a public, this is what I left. This is what I did while I was in office. You know, Peter Obi presented himself as someone that I didn't steal a kobo from any public office I managed. I didn't steal a kobo, so therefore I don't have a kobo to give. He will say, go and ask, go and verify, go and check. Then the batch on the other hand was saying, this is what I did. I turned Lagos into this. So his pedigree works for him. Then his message also, his message of hope to people who don't have hope, by saying, I represent a new Nigeria. I represent the face of a new Nigeria to you. Also worked in his favor. And his comment on certain issues, corruption and security, also rang the bell in a lot of people's head. So those things work for him.
Okay.
So the thing that did not work for him,
he's not getting commensurate push in the polls here. How come?
No, I'm coming to the things that did not work for him. Is that the platform upon which the platform lacks the national spread. The structure. Yes, people say there are structures, but then some of the people who are saying there are structures don't have PBC. Not all of them have the voters. I know a couple of them who didn't vote, who were rather calling for and saying, do this, do that, who didn't vote. So the structure and the spread. Mind you that Labour Party did not have a candidate in all the polling units. I don't think they had candidates they didn't have candidates in almost 40,000 polling units. So by default,
you mean party
40,000, and if you go by 500, 500 people per polling unit, multiply 500 by 40,000, you will know that by default, already he had already disenfranchised himself by 40,000 out of 176,000. 40,000 out of 176,000 is close to, I think it's around should be 30-something percent. 30-something percent. In an election where people don't always come out, and already you are shooting yourself out of 30% of the total vote cast. You understand? So, which magic do you want to do? Already you have lost 30%. You have lost about 30% of your. You have missed opportunity of having presence. Having presence in 30%.
Let's bring in Dr. Adebiyi here. So what would you, in your own opinion, say has worked for Peter Obi and perhaps not worked so well in this field?
I mean, just like Mr. Austin indicated, he succeeded in distinguishing himself from the pack. He painted this, interesting narrative that when he served, he didn't steal a penny. He painted the narrative of a saint in government, and he also painted the narrative that he understands how the economy works. Always citing example of China, and Obi is really good with data. So he painted this narrative that I'm your generation. I know what the data is talking about, and I can use the data to bring about changes. Because when you look at Obi intentionally leverage the use of data, he was talking to a particular generation. He wasn't talking to the older generation. He was talking to the younger generation. And this is a generation that loves data. And when you listen to Obi reel out all these, sometimes crooked statistics, you'll be thinking that he actually knows what he's talking about. But when you go deep into the substance of what Obi is talking about, you know that Obi is not really strong on the issue of economy per se. Because the kind of economy...
Why would you say that? Can you
thank you
give
so
us...
much. Yeah. So Obi keeps talking about China. He keeps talking about other countries, what we are going to learn from them. And China is not Nigeria. It's two different contexts. What we need is somebody who can tell the people, convince the people that I understand the informality that characterizes our economy. I understand the particularities that characterizes our economy. And this is how I'm going to turn things around locally in order to create millionaires out of the rural communities.
Okay, but in all fairness, how do we rate Obi's campaign and his discussion of the economy vis-a-vis the other major candidates? What other
Honestly,
candidates have given
when it
at
comes to
least some form of
substance,
explanation
it
on
was
what the
not.
economic policy would be?
I mean, honestly, it was not a lot of substance. It was a lot of complaints. Complaining that things were not working. He did a better job making a
but
case
this is
that
normal but this is normal in every campaign and in every election. Right?
Yeah,
but my
sure.
question is, if
my
you
preference
single out
is
his economic
I
policies
think
as
I
being
have to go.
having a lot of data, how would we juxtapose his campaign versus other major candidates? And what
I mean,
does that work in his favor or not? The fact that he's actually discussing the
honestly,
discussing
it
his
actually
economic
worked
policy.
for him. The way he went about framing his economic argument actually worked for him. He did demonstrate to his crowd he has a grip over the issue. I think Mr. Austin is about to leave.
Okay, all right, Mr. Austin.
I really have to go and thanks. But at the end of the poll, if we look at the result, he's able to pull, let's say, the percentage of the votes he gets. If it is commensurate with the places he has agents, then you will say that he would have done better if he had an agent in all over the listing. But for now, the party, they will have to go and they have to look at the structure, the system the party he wants to run on, and he can become an opposition leader.
One last question for you, Mr. Austin,
or something. It depends.
Yeah, one last question for you, Mr. Austin, before you leave. So, if you were Obi's political strategist, how many percent of the total votes would you say he needs to get for you to say, okay, we had a successful campaign?
That is why I said if he has if, for instance, out of the 136,000 agents he has, if he has a number that is commensurate with, if he has a percentage that reflects that number, for instance, I think he had about 100-something thousand agents or so, out of 100-something thousand. So he didn't have agents in about 40,000 units. So it therefore means that the difference is about, in percentage terms, it's going to be 20-something percent, close to 30%. So if he's able to if he loses the election by that margin, are you following? If he loses the election by a margin of 30% or 40%, I'll say he had a successful campaign. But if he loses by a wider margin, by more than that, then I'll say the campaign was not successful.
Okay.
So he has.
All right. Yeah.
On the whole, he has tried. He has tried.
Okay.
On the whole, he has tried.
All right. Thank you very much for your contributions tonight. So, Mr. Austin will be leaving us here while we continue the conversations.
Okay.
Here. Yeah. So we hope
to
have you
go back
tomorrow. All right. Okay.
Okay. He called me when I was already out. I was regarding, and you can see that I had to leave people to come and take the call. So I have to go back and meet.
All right.
Okay. We'll talk.
Thank you very much. Okay.
You're welcome.
Yeah. We'll see you later. Yeah. All right. So, Dr. Adebiyi, what would you rate as a successful campaign for Peter Obi and Labour Party?
I mean, the ability to galvanize his crowd, I think, is a big one for Peter Obi. Because when you look at the majority of the crowd around Peter Obi, they are mostly the new generation of voters, the youthful segment of our voting population. and he was able to maintain a very strong and determined hold on them from the beginning of his time in Labour Party and until when the elections were conducted. So I think that's a major plus. And when you look at this crowd themselves, we need to disaggregate this crowd. A huge part of this crowd was a crowd that was rooting for Vice President Yomi Osinbajo when he was, seeking to get the ticket of his party. Unfortunately, he lost in the primaries, and the alternative they found was Peter Obi, because they were looking for people that more or less are not part of the establishment. Atiku is considered part of the establishment. Tinubu is considered to be part of the establishment. Somebody that also positioned himself as not part of the establishment, unfortunately, and he's gotten the language, he's gotten the rhetoric, Kwankwaso. Unfortunately, for one reason or the other, his campaign could not actually spark the interest of youth across the country. But when you listen to Kwankwaso talk, you know that Kwankwaso understands the economy. And you know that Kwankwaso has a language that can be used to convince people to toe his ideas and what have you. Unfortunately for Kwankwaso, he didn't
So
actually
as an academic, one of the things I look out for is the growth of our democracy to the point where we are discussing policies in our campaigns. So this is one of the things that we're striving for, even as an organization in Veegil. This is one of those things that we want to bring to the mainstream, right? So you're describing some traditionalist politicians, the establishment, and the non-establishment. But it also seems that you're also painting the non-established political candidates as those that are willing to discuss the policies and those that are discussing, and looking for and laying bare their economic policies for the masses. But at the same time, we're saying they're not really performing well here. What can we do to really bridge that gap and bring those, traditionally, or not to use the word traditional here, to bring those non-established politicians, right, with their political ideas, with their economic ideas, and bring all of those policy discussions front and center to the campaigns?
Yeah, I think to me, I was born into politics, and I started getting involved in party politics at a very young age. You know, working with the likes of Yaradua and what have you. I'm talking about the Yaradua senior, by virtue of the fact that my father was a big time politician. So I understand this thing that the message is not enough in politics. They talk about policy, it's not enough in politics. It's also about the structure. If you do not have the structure for mobilizing grassroots people on the ground who can deliver you, then it's not going to translate into you winning in the
do you mean the stomach infrastructure? We see a lot in our politics.
No.
Where
You see,
people,
sometimes
when they say they have structure, what they mean is they have a network of individuals that they can, funnel money through.
no. It's more than that.
Okay, so can
It's
you
just about
explain to our audience what that structure
the
is?
way this structure of a thing works. It's actually investment. When I use the word investment, I am not talking about monetary investment alone. I'm talking about cultivating a political party, putting time into this. You see, when you go to the APC and the PDP, they hold regular meetings at the ward level. People that you won't see talking, featuring in TVs and talking about the political party, ventilating their opinions. They go to this meeting every week. They have registers. They know themselves. These are people that will cause structure. Structure is not. We're not talking about ghosts. We are talking about people that meet from time to time and that plan for the growth of their political party in their various localities. So just like we talk about, we have planned that we want to do this in our life. They plan for their political party. They know if their membership is reducing. They are worried when they lose elections. And they always go back to the drawing board, articulating what they need to do. Imagine
So
people that have
essentially,
been doing it.
the structure you're referring to here, sorry to cut you there. So the structure you're referring to here is being a long haul politician
It
doing the
is, that's
work
what it
in the
is.
grassroots, as
That's
opposed
what
to
it
hopping
is.
around. So because that's part of what we see though,
Exactly.
when we discuss a lot of these non-established politicians,
Exactly.
is that they keep going
Exactly.
from one political party
Exactly.
to the other.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
you're basically saying having that connection to the community and
That is just
having
what we
that
call structure.
in a very
Yeah, yeah,
scaled version. Okay.
exactly.
All
That's
right.
what we call structure. And that's what we call structure. And the other thing with structuralists is they know that when they deliver their political party in power, when appointments are going to be made, they are not looking for federal appointment at the community level. If there is they are going to do something in their local government, they know that they are going to be potentially considered. If they are looking for admission opportunity for their children into some of the local university, they know that they have somebody they can walk up to. They know that if they need a particular space to erect a shop where they are going to be, selling petty trading items, they know that they have somebody in government that they got their back, that is gotten their own back as well. So people have this elaborate understanding of what actually constitutes structure in the local balance. And that is why when Peter Obi came in as an emergency, I told people that presidential elections in Nigeria cannot be won on the basis of emergency. Peter Obi is not really different from Showore. When Showore came, it was a lot of noise on the social media platform. The only difference between Peter Obi and Showore is this, and I will mention this. And that is another thing Peter Obi benefited. Peter Obi is also a candidate of religious sentiment. When you look at antecedent of Peter Obi before he actually contested the last and this ongoing presidential election in Nigeria, he was very close to the Christian communities in the country. When they organized programs organized by entities like the platform, he was a regular, person on the platform. And since then, I've been telling people that watch out for Peter Obi. And when Oshibaju lost that election, primary election in APC, majority of the Christians saw in Peter Obi an alternative. And that's another thing that Peter
Yeah,
Obi
as we
was being
discussed yesterday, there's nothing wrong with having a constituency,
No,
and I
there's
think
nothing wrong. It's part of
talked about.
democracy.
So that
No,
could be his
it's really part
base.
of
So I
democracy.
guess the flaw here in this segment that we're discussing at the campaign of Peter Obi could be that perhaps he did not reach out to other constituencies. So as a result, did
No,
not
in
have a
fairness to
federal
Peter
appeal.
Obi, did. In fairness to Peter Obi, he reached out to other constituencies, but his message was not just selling. He reached out to non-Christian constituency. In fairness to him, but the message was not sinking. And this is where the issue of identity actually cancels out identity. Just like I told some folks, I said in this election, religion preferences will cancel out religious preferences. Ethnic preferences will cancel out ethnic preferences. Party loyalty will cancel out party loyalty. And at the end of the day, it boils down to which one has the greater number. Which of these? Because people that want to vote on the basis that, I felt that APC was not sensitive to my religion, they will vote on the basis of that. It's legitimate in democracy. There's nothing wrong about that in a democracy. Whoever scandalizes this does not understand democracy. Democracy is
I
about
guess I
people's
guess
interest.
the bottom line is it's not about just voting along those lines, right? Because the tribal politics, the identity politics, doesn't really serve the people. I believe at the end of the day, it comes down to what are the policies that will be implemented, right? When we all go out to make purchases, right? No one is asking us, are you
I
of
think where
this
people
tribe or
might be
this
getting it
ethnicity?
wrong.
The price of bread
Yeah,
is just going to inflate for
yeah,
everyone.
yeah,
So
agreed,
while we
agreed.
can
But
start politics at its base, I guess my point here is we should have a mechanism to graduate away, right, from that base instead of pitching our tent with our constituency, which is very right to start with. I guess, and this is one of what we're trying to achieve here. with this kind of discussion and debate, and what we encourage our audience and listeners to do,
I mean,
is that we want people to be able to graduate and reach out to other constituencies.
yeah,
Because
sure.
when you become a president of Nigeria, you're not a president of one tribe or one ethnicity or one
Very
religion.
true.
So
Very true.
the crossover, I believe, is what is
But
lacking.
when you look at all the candidates, in fairness to them, when you look at all the candidates, none of the candidates, when it comes to engaging the public, was talking about religion, was talking about ethnicity. They were all talking about their plans for the people. What we are talking about is what they do at the back end when nobody's with them except the particular constituent they are talking to. In fairness to them, to the best of their ability, they all marketed their plans and manifesto for the people and for the country as a whole. And they did whatever they can do to the best of their ability. Some of them were creative. They organized town halls. It's not just about town halls. They also organized meetings with professional bodies across the country, economists, lawyers, just name it. So that means that they actually did their best presenting their program to those entities. So the question is, what is the level of interrogation, the quality
But,
of the
but I
interrogation of
believe,
their
okay, so we're going to try to round up very soon. But
Mm,
what I see is happening here is we, as a politician, as someone running a campaign, I believe
mhm,
they are reaching out to people on two different ends, and they use two different mechanisms. And I believe this is what happens in the Nigerian political space.
mm,
On one end, they will reach out to the political
mhm,
elites and the intellectual elites, and they will discuss policies, the professional bodies, and
mhm,
what have you. And on the other end, they are reaching out to, the grassroots, the structure, people that are not uh, perhaps
mhm.
as sophisticated as the intellectual
Yeah,
elites,
sure.
and they have different mechanisms for reaching out to these people, right? You could tell the former set that you would provide these kind of policies and all of these, and to the later, maybe you're just giving them a bag of rice and you print your face on it, right? And we do all of this stomach infrastructure to galvanize support from there.
Mm,
And what it seems to be happening here from our conversations thus far, we could see that it seems that we still have a lot of people on that grassroots side that
yeah,
do
yeah,
not care
sure.
about the policies that would really affect their lives. And you have those on the other side. So my thoughts here is that we need to move people, as many people,
So,
from
so,
just
so that is
contending
that
with
is the
themselves.
job. That is the job for you and I. When I use you and I mean the people in our category. You see, the politicians are smarter than us because in politics, you need to learn how to speak the language of the people. We, the elite, we are good talking to ourselves. We do well talking to ourselves. We do horrible talking to the people at the grassroots. If we can learn something from the politician, is the ability to actually communicate effectively with the people at the grassroots. If we do better communicating and educating our people at the grassroots, they're going to listen to us. Our people are not sold out to peanuts. They are not sold out to little things. But it's because we're not communicating to them. And let me go back in memory then. Look at the time of Gani Fawemi. One would have expected that Gani Fawemi would have done well when he contested for the presidency of the country. In his own local government, in his own ward, where he would give electricity to people free of charge, Gani Fawemi lost. Why? Because Ganifa enemy did not actually cultivate the ability to communicate to local people in the language that they understand. And part of this is sitting with people, talking to them, training people that we disseminate our messages to them in a way that will make them to force a rethink. Because it's about getting into the psychology, into the thought-making process of the people. Those in the civil society spaces, they've not been doing this. And people don't even trust them. Those of us who are educated, people don't see us as one of them. They see us as living in the paradise. that we do not want to be associated with them. These are the issues, because we need to look at the attractions that people find in politicians. If a politician goes to a local community, people will run after them. Pick a party Tommy, let him go to the local community. People don't even know him. There's nothing that's attractive.
There are two ways to that. So people may run after the politician to get money from them, right?
No. I don't want to believe it's about money.
So I don't,
because I've operated in this space. No. It's because I've operated in this space.
The eloquence.
Because I've operated in both spaces. I don't believe it's actually
more eloquent. Or
let me even tell you this.
Ideas.
No, let me even tell you this. In the Yoruba, they call it Omoluabi. Politicians, they know how to do this. Even when politicians don't have money, they know how to talk to you in a way that you will love their personality. You see, those of us that are educated, we believe that we don't have the time for all these kind of things. That you guys, you have to be objective. You see, the whole is life work. And when you go back in time, look at the philosophy behind advertisement. Advertisement walks straight into the philosophy of the people, the thinking of the people. If you want to bring about a change in a particular community, you need to get into their thinking process. Many times you need to come down to their level, spend time to build trust, and make them see that you are part of their story. When people see you as part of their life, as part of their journey, then they are going to give you their hope. They are going to give you their life. And that was the case of what is happening in Benue State with the case of the Reverend Father. People have seen in themselves, in their own personal journey, in their struggles in life, somebody they can trust, somebody that believe is with them on this journey. Or like somebody who is a banker, goes to work with a suit, he doesn't want to associate with the people at the level in the community, thinking that the level is too low. I mean, people are never going to give him their trust. When he speaks, people will say, Kilon Saw, what is he talking about? People will look at him that this is an alien. He's not living a struggle. People want to see those who live and understand their struggle. And I think this is where we need to understand where we are getting it right as a critical elite segment of our political process. We need to do that. We need to learn them that from the politicians.
Thank you very much for those thoughts. So as you have it, so we all have our work cut out for us. We all have to get involved. We have to participate in our local politics. We have to participate in our local policy development. So this is very important for everyone to be able to continue to associate and interact with members of our politics, So thank you very much, Dr. Adebiyi, for joining us today. It's been a very interesting conversation. We'll continue the coverage, the 2023 election coverage, here live tomorrow, and we'll continue to bring you updated results for you to be able to make and analyze them for you to make more sense of the trends behind the numbers that you see. So join us bright and early tomorrow, and we'll continue with the coverage. So from us here at Veegil, and to all our collaborators, Summit University, to the folks at the Muslim Alliance of Credible Elections, and other collaborators that have joined in making this possible. We thank you very much for all your efforts. To our panelists that have joined us for coverage thus far. We want to thank you very much for taking the time and efforts to explain the details and the nuances behind all of the numbers we're seeing. So we'll be back here tomorrow. So stay safe and bye-bye.
Thank you, bye-bye. Thank you, bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Farouk. Do you need to report any form of incidents or injustice as happening within your locality? I know you'd also like to update your friends, your family, and also the public as a whole. You can do this with the incident report feature on Veegil app. You have the ability to choose the type of incidents, to describe the kind of incidents, and as well to add photos and many more. To use the feature, download Veegil app now on Google Play Store and on App Store. Thank you.
Corpus, how are you?
We are doing fine, sir. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, as you can see. We just came back from campaigning in the villages across the river, you see, and they really love us.
That's really good for you. I wish you all the best.
Wait now, don't go yet. We even saw some of your people on the campaign trail and we took care of them.
Wow, good for you.
And we will take care of you too. You know you are serving your fatherland and you will be playing a key role in the election process. So we can take care of you so you can help us. And when we enter, we will still take more care of you. You know what I mean, eh?
I don't know what you mean, Oga.
Okay. Just say that the machine is not working so we can use manual process. Then we can work the result in our favor. And we may not even need to do it because the people like us already. But this is just a contingency plan in case our opponents want to play smart. You know what I mean?
You want to pay us to manipulate results for you?
No big deal there now. You know we'll take care of you very well.
No, sir. We are not interested. Nigeria will take care of us.
We say no to inducement to manipulate the election process and results.
We say no to every form of corruption during elections.
A free and fair election will make a better Nigeria that can take care of its people. Say no to inducement and bribery to manipulate elections.
Alright, I know you might be kind of confused and you are thinking how real and how truthful is our results on Veegil platform. Okay, calm down, let me explain to you. Yeah. The fact index works in a way we collect results from a lot of people in a certain polling unit and then we give you an average sum of that particular result. The fact index will be measured by the location access we have to the people that are posting that particular update. If you have your location turned on, we would have a higher fact index of that particular post because we confirm that you are currently in that polling unit you are giving update for. So we collect this result from these people posting updates in that particular polling unit and it will give you a collated result on the Veegil platform.
Over the years, employability has moved from what you studied to what you can do. Knowledge that cannot be applied is useless in today's world. That is why at Summit University Offer, Sun Offer, owned by Ansarudin Society of Nigeria, our goal is not to produce only employable graduates, but to graduate entrepreneurs and job creators who shine in their world like the products of Sun Offer that they are. Enroll today by visiting www.summituniversity.edu.ng. Inter-university transfer is also available for undergraduates willing to complete their studies at Summit University Offer. Sun Offer. We shine like the sun.